All right, now we're going to review some vocabulary on page 876 of your workbook. Choose the best term for the word list, write in the blank. A three-sided polygon with at least two sides the same length is an isosceles. So that's number one. A polygon with one pair of parallel sides, just one pair of parallel sides, is a trapezoid. A blank has four right angles and all four sides the same length, and that would be our square. All three sides of a blank are different lengths, and that would be a scalene triangle. When it says three sides, we know we're talking about a triangle. When it says four, we know we're talking about a quadrilateral. The measure of each of the three angles in a blank is less than 90 degrees. In less than an acute or equilateral triangle. So let's see, 5, or we could say 5 here too. You can have equilateral or acute. A rectangle is a special type of parallelogram. For each of these terms, draw an example and a non-example. So an obtuse triangle, I would draw, it's going to have an angle larger than, let me just make one color. So the angle has to be larger than 90 degrees. So let's make it, there we go. And it's got to have an angle larger. So 90 degree would fit in here. So this is definitely larger than 90 degrees. So that would be obtuse. A rhombus with no right angle. Rhombus is not supposed to have a right angle. So we're making a rhombus with a right angle could be a square. That's why they're being sneaky there. And isosceles right triangle. So remember, isosceles is two sides are equal, and a right triangle, let me get that drawn a little bit better there. There we go. So we're going to, whoops, still not good. So I'm going to make a right triangle. I want that right angle, and isosceles is going to have two equal sides. So I want that right angle there, and I want two sides to be equal. Non-example of an obtuse triangle, like a right angle, is not an obtuse triangle. A rhombus with no right angle, a non-example of a rhombus with no right angle could be a square. That looks like a rectangle, but an isosceles right triangle, you could say, and actually we haven't talked about this, but equilateral triangles are actually also considered isosceles triangle, because the rule for isosceles is two equal sides. So an equilateral has three equal sides, so they actually fall into the same category. Alana claims that not all four-sided polygons with two pairs of equal sides are parallelograms. Is she correct? Use terms from the word list in your answer. So we'll just say yes, she's correct. If a polygon, you could say if a polygon, remember a polygon is a closed shape made with straight sides. And if a polygon is shaped like a kite, it may have two pairs of equal sides that are not parallel. So we've got let me try to get something in there. Parallelograms such as rectangles, squares, and rhombuses have two pairs of equal sides that are also parallel. I'm trying to make myself a kite here that doesn't have parallel sides. It's hard to draw. So you just get it using your vocabulary, you get a good definition in there. And reviewing for the test, set A, remember right, obtuse, acute describe the angles, equilateral, scalene, and isosceles describe the sides. So angle name for this guy, he's going to be acute. because all his angles are less than 90. And he's got equal sides, so he's an acute equilateral. And number 2, he's got a right angle, so we're going to call him a right. All sides are different, so he's a right scalene. For number 3, he's got an obtuse angle, and 2 sides are the same, so he's an obtuse isosceles. And number 4, the angles are smaller than 90 degrees, so he's acute, and all the sides are different, so he's acute scalene. And we're doing the same thing for quadrilaterals, labeling them. So quadrilateral is a 4-sided shape, so all these are going to be quadrilaterals. They're all quadrilaterals. And let's get more specific. He's a parallelogram because he's got a set of parallel sides. He's a parallelogram. He's a parallelogram. A parallelogram has 2 pairs of equal parallel sides. So 3 is not a parallelogram because it only has 1 pair. And then we also call number 1 is called the rectangle. And number 2 is called a rhombus. Number 3 is called a trapezoid because there's only 1 set of parallel sides. And number 4 is called a rectangle, and it's called a rhombus, and it's called a square. Square has lots of different names. Okay. Go on to the next page. All right. Remember that each branch of the family tree shows a subgroup of the figure above. Tell whether each statement is true or false. All squares are rectangles. That is true. Every parallelogram is a rectangle. That is false because a rhombus is not a rectangle. Number 3, rhombuses are special parallelograms. That is true. All trapezoids are quadrilaterals. That is true. And then the last question, using definitions of geometric figures can help you construct arguments. Malcolm says the sum of the angle measures in any rectangle is 180 degrees, and that's going to be false because we know that's the rule for a triangle. And what is the definition of a rectangle? So a rectangle is it's a parallelogram with 4 right angles. And we know a right angle measures 90 degrees, and 90 times 4 is 360 degrees. Draw a picture of a rectangle and label its angle. So you draw that, and is Malcolm correct? No. And we just proved it up there.